So let's take you live now to Dominic Perrottet. He's the Premier still for now. Let's listen in. He's taking questions in Western Sydney.
Well, that is Labor's attitude is the attitude that would have resulted in the Harbour Bridge never being built. You could have mounted a case. And we just saw a public servant the other day, last week, in the Sydney Morning Herald, come out and say that we shouldn't build metros. Yeah? And that's exactly the attitude under Labor that got nothing built. The North West Metro should have been built decades ago. Decades ago it should have been built. But it never was until the Liberals and Nationals came in. Under Labor, they would have built the Harbour Bridge with one lane each way because there wasn't the demand for it back in 1930. If you build the metros, the construction and the homes coming off the back of it, that's exactly what we are doing here with the Liberals and Nationals in New South Wales. If you build, people will come. We need to set up our state for future success. Under Labor, it's already shortchanging the people of New South Wales because they have a black hole and they can't build the projects. Yesterday was an admission, cancelling projects from opposition because they have a budget black hole. Under the Liberals and Nationals, we build not just for today, we build for future generations.
But other than Kevin Costner, what actual research do you have?
On those,
forecast you have indicate that these rail links.
Western Sydney is booming. A new airport is on the way. Labor want to cancel a metro from Westmead Parramatta to the new airport. That is the short-sighted thinking that will ensure New South Wales stalls and doesn't move forward. Politics is not just about governing for the here and now. It's about governing for the next generation, so our children and their children have opportunities. The Labor approach that Harbour Bridge would never have been built. We build for the future, creates jobs today, 100,000 jobs right across Western Sydney, but ultimately sets up our children for success. Labor always focus on the here and now. We focus on the future.
Labor say, though, they don't want to go ahead with two of those metros until they understand the full scale of the issues with South West Metro. Can you just confirm that it will open that first stage at least in 2024 and your government will proceed...
First stage in 2024?
Yep, and your government will proceed with the Sydenham to Bankstown conversion?
Yes, we will.
And will Sydenham to Bankstown be finished by 2024? The whole...
2024, Sydenham, 25 Bankstown. But what was the first part of your question?
Well, Labor are saying that they don't want to bite off too much until they understand the full scale.
Labor have a black hole in their budget and already they're cutting projects. We need to complete the metro. When you build a metro, as we have come into office and done, it sets up our children for future success. We want to make sure we can get to work faster, home sooner, and spend more time with their children and their families. That's what this is all about. You build for the future. You don't just build for today. You need to have that strong pipeline going. And that's exactly what we've done. Labor cancelled the North West Metro 3 times or 4 times. They cancelled 3 or 4 times. We came into office in 2011 and got to work and built it. Over 20,000 jobs on that project alone, that $8 billion North West Metro. And now the next wave underway. We cannot stop. We must keep building. We must keep creating opportunity for our future. It's all part of our long-term economic plan. Labor don't have a plan. They have a big budget black hole, and that provides real risk for families across New South Wales, because if you can't afford to build, that means that people don't have jobs, they don't have opportunities, and ultimately our state stalls. We cannot afford labour in New South Wales.
You ruled out selling Sydney Water this morning, just confirming that is...
Yes, I mean, no one's...
You've ruled out selling it. If that is the case, how are you going to pay for some of these metros? Will the lack of privatisation potentially in the next term of government mean you need to stage these metro projects out, smooth them out a bit longer?
No, 60% of our $116 billion infrastructure investment, debt funded. We have a long-term plan here to continue to build that infrastructure. Now, Tom, you'd be aware, we announced $260 million for business cases to complete the metro. That will provide advice to the government on the staging of those projects. We are completely committed to finalising the metro. There was Chris Minns and Labor yesterday at Tallawong Station in the North West Metro. a project Labor opposed. He announced a cancellation of projects that haven't even started and announced other projects he can't afford because Labor can't build metros. It's the Liberals and the Nationals that have come into government and built the metros, built the motorways, every step of the way opposed by Labor, every step of the way. The only people talking about Sydney Water are Labor. I've made it very clear, we're not selling Sydney Water. I don't know how many times I've got to say that. It's a scare campaign. And why are Labor running scare campaigns? Because they don't have a positive vision for New South Wales. They don't have a positive vision. They haven't got an economic plan. And that is tired old Labor politics from the past. My team, our government, is focused on delivering our long-term economic plan to take our state forward, and that means building the metros, the motorways, ensuring 100,000 jobs for the families of Western Sydney, setting up our state for future success, making the decisions, having a strong budget, having a strong economy, providing opportunity and prosperity for everybody across New South Wales.
What about Hunter Water? Would you rule out privatisation?
Yes. I mean, Labor can continue to run these scare campaigns. We are not engaging in it. We are focused. We've got $116 billion of infrastructure over the next 4 years. We have a long-term economic plan to take our state forward. That's what we're focused on. Now, Labor want to play their scare campaigns. That just shows they haven't learnt anything. We're focused on our positive vision, on our economic plan to take New South Wales forward, to build the homes, to build the schools, to build the hospitals, to create the jobs for our children and their children. That's what we're focused on. Kenny.
The Effective Emergency Management Minister, Murray Wattles, criticised your government again about the buybacks in the Northern Rivers, saying it's behind schedule and it's also trailing behind Queensland in terms of the speed of the rollout of that. Do you admit that things are lagging behind in the Northern Rivers in that respect with flood relief a year on from the floods?
Not at all. And I think those comments are incredibly unhelpful. We're working very closely through the new Reconstruction Authority with families, particularly in the Northern Rivers, to get them back on their feet. Over $6 billion in support from the state and federal government, hundreds of million dollars, close to $1 billion in support for a buyback scheme. We're working very closely with locals in relation to that. I've always said it's a long journey ahead. We've worked very, very closely in relation to the clean-up, in relation to the recovery of communities in the Northern Rivers. I said at the time, we'll be with them every step of the way, every single step of the way. It's been close to a year now where some of the most devastating floods occurred in the Northern Rivers that we've ever seen in our lifetimes. And I said it will be a long journey ahead. It will be. It will be a challenge, and we will stand with those communities as we have over the last 12 months, also ensuring that as we build back, we build in a more resilient way, working very closely in unlocking land in areas where it's safe to do so, and make sure that we keep the charm and the character of the towns in the Northern Rivers, whilst at the same time ensure that when the next flood event occurs, that we'll be in a much stronger position in the past. And it's by my commitment to the people of the Northern Rivers that I will be with them all the way through this, not just in the short term, but in the long term as well. But I think those comments are really...
Okay, that's where we leave Dominic Perrottet responding to some criticism about the Northern Rivers and Lismore and the time it is taking to build back. He says it is on track. It is a huge effort, and he certainly hasn't forgotten about them. When it comes to the broader election campaign, it is centring around infrastructure projects at the moment. Yesterday, we saw the cancellation of 2 projects that haven't even started by Chris Minns from opposition. Dominic Perrottet says that is the wrong attitude to have. So it all comes down to, we saw that forceful denial there that he would sell Sydney Water to pay for some of these infrastructure projects. When I spoke to Chris Minns last week, I asked him what big transport infrastructure projects he would build west of Parramatta. He said there was still time to come, that the election isn't over yet, and there would be announcements in the next couple of weeks. But essentially, over the weekend, we've seen him not only not announce more transport projects for Western Sydney, in fact, he's pulling them back. He's not going to go ahead with 2 that the coalition do want to go ahead with. So, look, Chris Minns will get a right of reply. In about half an hour's time, he'll be holding his own media conference and we'll bring it to you live.